Hey guys, what's up? It's Solo, and today we're going to be talking about my 10 things I want in Lightfall. Now, before we get started with this list, of course, I'm going to remind you that I am a PvE player, so there's not going to be really anything for PvP players on this list for at least what I want, and 2, that this is a personal opinion list, so if things don't work out, I'm not going to be too upset, but these are the things I really want to see in Lightfall, or shown off at least. And there also, this could happen before or after Lightfall as well. But this mainly pertains to the showcase, which is happening on the 23rd, which is my birthday. If you guys missed that announcement, I actually have a video going over the little trailer that they gave us. That was basically the recap, the Light Dark Saga, and yeah. Anyway, let's get on to number 10. Now, number 10 is going to be my one thing that may contain PvP because of the way the mode is, and that is Gambit Prime 2.0. And what I mean by this, I know a lot of people are like, oh, Gambit should just get removed from the game, but I feel like back when Gambit Prime was out, it wasn't as bad as it is now, and I feel like them trying to make it into basically trials where they do these trial run of labs and things like that is, I guess, the wrong way of approaching it. And I'd love to see a season of the Dredgen where we go back to Gambit Prime being a thing, and they revamp a lot of those armor sets with extra perks and everything else, and revamp what some of them did, because that was the big issue, was there was only 2 sets that were actually really good and the rest of them were kind of meh. So if they rebalance those, I feel like it'd be a lot better. I never had any issues with the whole PvP and it was bad, because when the original Malfeasance quest was a thing, you used to have to get I think it's 2 to 3 armies of one, or your teammate had to get them, and I proceed to get all of them, and I'm not good at PvP, and I probably never will be, but this is the only part that's probably going to pertain to PvP. But yeah, I'd like to see a Gambit rework or Gambit Prime 2.0 announced with Lightfall. Okay, so that leads us into number 9. Now, number 9 is going to be a large patrol space, or spaces. Now, as you guys know, we got the Throne World, and we got part of Mars with the missions in Witch Queen, and I love that, and I want to see it more, I guess, bigger, with the not only the acquisition from Sony, but also the more people that they've hired on. I'd love to see them do it on a bigger scale. I love how the Witch Queen's Throne World looks, and I want to see them bring more designs and stuff like that into the world of Destiny with a bigger patrol space and more secrets and all this other stuff to make it even more fleshed out of a world, rather than, go from this space to this space to this space. I want to see them explore that design even more, and I really feel like it'd be hit out of the park with how their design's been going lately. So yeah, that's my number 9, is just more patrol spaces. I love doing patrol spaces. I don't do patrols, but I love running around and killing things, and it's fun from time to time. Number 8 is going to be more exotic crafting. Now, there's 2 ways you can do this. How we do Osteostriga, which is through the actual Enclave weapon crafting, or you could do it how Destiny 1 did it, which was the swords way of doing it, which I feel like they could do if King's Fall comes back. I feel like they could turn around and be like, hey, by the way, the Dreadnought's back, and now the swords are back, go get the swords, but I don't know if they'd actually do that or not. But they could do it one of 2 ways. I just want to see more crafting of exotics, because it kind of felt, I guess, meh when Osteostriga was ridiculous when the new DLC launched, and the 3 exotic glaives were kind of underperforming after we got them. So I'd like to see a good balance of exotics, and maybe even more exotics to come along the lines of crafting and um, things like that. On the topic of exotics, let's talk about more loot. Now, this is a kind of touchy subject because with Witch Queen there was like a bunch of stuff coming in and new rotations and things like that. But I'd love to see Bungie expand even more and like put more loot into the game with the DLC. For example, I believe there was like 1 to 2 armor sets that you could get from Witch Queen, and then there was like, I want to say 12 exotics or something like that added, and then a bunch of weapons for like PvP, PvE, trials, and destination loot. And I'd love to see them do like 3, 4, maybe even 5 different armor sets that are like that actually are decent looking, and then also give us something to like go for when doing the patrol zones or something like that. That would be really cool. I'd also like to see a lot more guns come into the game and have a lot more, I guess, diversity rather than, the same old weapons we've been using, which is a problem with some of the community. But I'd also like to see, just more weapon either types or just more weapons in general come into the general loot pool. Number 6 is actually something people have been asking for a long time, which is in-game matchmaking or LFG for things like raids and grandmaster difficulties of nightfalls and raids and stuff like that. I'd love to see something towards that announced alongside Lightfall, because that would make it a lot better for someone like me whose friends don't get on as much as I do and who aren't exactly up to like sitting for 5-6 hours trying to figure out a raid. And so you're gonna want to try to get in there, but then LFG on like the fire teams on the app is toxic, and then you can't get into a group, and it's just bad. I'd love to see an in-game matchmaking thing or something like that. And I know guided games is a thing, but I'd like to see something more streamlined than guided games, especially with like master raids and things like that. Um, Anyway, with that out of the way, let's talk about something I've already talked about and you guys have seen on the channel before, which is a new subclass. Now, if you guys don't know, there's a lot of evidence pointing towards a corruption, or aka a poison subclass, with how things have been changing types. For example, the witch's like burn effect got turned from a burn to a poison, and so did Osteostriga, and I think it was Le Monarch. Also got changed to a poison type, and like they tried to play it off as housekeeping, but it's weird that they would again push it until now to do housekeeping for something like that, unless they were planning on doing something with it later. And it's just weird. So I definitely think we're gonna get the announcement of a new subclass alongside Lightfall, and of course we're gonna see the Arc 3.0 update alongside the new season. Now, let's move on to number 4. So, sandbox balances. As we know, with new subclasses, we have issues with sandbox balances, but I'd really like to see the sandbox balance from what we have now, because there's a lot of samey results, everybody using the same thing over and over and over again. And I know it's because, it's what works, but like, I'd really like to see Bungie just like have people play different styles, I guess, or like have people play different weapons, because like a lot of the things I'll see is like Osteostriga and then like tractor cannon, or things that people have always used and not really differentiate between anything. And that was the big thing, is I want to see more diversity in PvE content and not just the same, oh look, a Galahorn, oh look, because people then start getting toxic about, oh, you don't have this, well, I'm not gonna let you be in my raid team. And it's like, dude, I just started playing the game. But I digress. And I'd love to see a lot more balances to like faction, like not faction vendors, God, like just vendors in general. See how that would interact and everything like that. I definitely like to see a loot balance where we phase out blue loot for the love of God. I'm tired of getting blue loot. Blue loot is a bane of my existence because it fills up my postmaster and still drops. But anyway, I digress on that. So let's move on to our top 3. So number 3 is going to be better armor design. Now, I'm not saying like I don't want this to be taken out of context of, oh, Bungie's armor sucks. When Destiny 2 came out, I will admit that some of the armor, or a lot of the armor, was kind of basic and bland. As time's gone on, especially like with this season, last season, stuff around the seasons are concerned, and like dungeon loot, raid loot, they've actually been doing really well. I think my favorite helmet in the game is still from Vow of the Disciple with the Resonant Fury helmet for the Titans, where it looks like basically gnashing teeth. But I want to see something along the lines of being able to do what they did in Destiny 1, which is like animated or glowing parts on armor, whether that be, an ornament or just a thing for doing something certain in the game. I would love to see a lot of that kind of design, but more Destiny 2 oriented, coming further into Destiny 2. And I hope the trend of armor we've been seeing for the past few seasons continues. I know a lot of people were, I guess, mad about the new dungeon duality not having like a big, super good looking set, but honestly, I think the armor is definitely getting better as time goes on, and I want to see them continue on with that trend. Okay, so now we're going to go into the top 2, and number 1's going to be a surprise. So number 2 is seasonal activity redesign. Who didn't see this one coming on the list? Probably everybody saw it coming. Like, I see it coming from a mile away when I watch lists like these. And the thing is yes, while the story of last season was good, we definitely need a rework for the seasonal activity that you do before you do the story, because it definitely does feel repetitive. Especially with the nightmare containment, it was very evident that like it wasn't really different. Like, yeah, you change bosses and they had a few different mechanics, like maybe one new mechanic per boss, and then you would change throughout the weeks, but it would still be, go to this one, kill the boss, go to this one, kill the boss, go to this one, kill the boss, and then go do Sever, And although I like horde modes, I feel like I definitely like something, I guess, different, or something like with more interactivity, I guess. Like, horde modes are great and all, but sparingly they're great. If we're just going to get horde mode after horde mode, that doesn't really bode well to the staleness of the game. And I'd love to see them redesign how seasonal content works based off a lot of these, different, I guess, activities we could do. I'd love to see them come out with a new type of activity that isn't a horde mode. That would be great. And have them redesign the seasonal model a little bit, just so then, we don't get super stale towards like the end of a season. And I know this one's kind of weird because we have Solstice and then we have 2 weeks, which I'm pretty sure there's going to be a mission in between those 2 weeks, and then the ending of the season, and then the showcase literally like the day after the end of the season, right before the next season starts. So it's kind of weird. But yeah, I'd like to see them redesign the seasonal activity and or the seasons themselves. And to no one's shock, at least if you've been following the channel, what my number one choice is going to be what's known as the choice. Now, if you guys don't know, when they originally revealed Lightfall and Witch Queen, there was a cinematic playing, or a sound bit playing in the background. It was Aldrin Zov at the beginning, and it was his line from Forsaken where he's like, the line between light and dark is so very thin. And at that, they showed Beyond Light, and then the next part they said, do you know which side you're on? Which then they showed the Witch Queen, which the big thing about the Witch Queen is the light was given to the Hive, and that was like, we're not sure if we're on the right side or not, because this like being just gave our enemies our one resource that made us unique. And then when they showed off Lightfall, the sound bit is from the Stranger saying, a side should always be chosen even if it's the wrong one. And what this gives to me, and this is also based off of the theory, the Guardian Civil War theory a little bit, is I would like to see them give players a definitive choice. And what this means is basically you get a choice. Either you stay with the light or you go to the darkness. But if you stay with the light or go with the darkness, each choice has its ups and downs to it. For example, if you don't go with the light, you get kicked out of the tower because you're no longer with the light, and the Vanguard doesn't stand by that. And so you get kicked out of the tower, and you have to go to some new hub space, and you're on this like underground faction or something like that is part of the darkness. But then you stay with, but with the darkness you get this new subclass like corruption, and you get all this new stuff, but it's at the cost of a lot of the light stuff. And then with the light, you don't get to use the darkness, and there's going to be missing parts of loot because you decide to choose the other side. And it really reminds me of the decision between the Drifter and the Vanguard, and I really want to see them, I guess, flesh out more of a definitive line of, listen, this is a choice you have to make, or else we don't know if you can continue forward. And with how this would be, I would definitely see it being an interesting mechanic, just because it would make interactions interesting, especially with like story and everything else. Mind you, it may make things more complicated, and 100% this is probably the highest one that is probably not going to happen, due to the fact of how complicated it is to pull it off, and pull it off without any issues. But I'd definitely like to see Bungie take the reins on a storyline that has to juggle between two different sides because of how people choose. But yeah, that's going to do it for this video. If you guys did enjoy the video, hit the like button. Comment down below, what do you guys have for your top 10? These have been mine. And this is exactly, what I'm looking for Lightfall. But there are other small things I'm looking for, quality of life stuff, things along those lines. But anyway, guys, I hope you guys did enjoy it. Don't forget to subscribe, turn on the post notifications, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.